This is Jamie from So Wimpy Teacher, and this is a little bonus video that I prepared for you in my series about how to teach writing. We've already gone through the whole series from what a writing workshop is to how to give mini lessons, do writing conferences, get grades for writing. So if you haven't seen all these videos, make sure you go back and watch those. But this bonus video is about writing share time and writing celebrations. When I started adding these things into my classroom, my students' excitement about writing increased dramatically. And if your kids are really excited about writing, they're going to produce better pieces for you, and you're going to hear a lot less whining, okay? So I highly recommend throwing some of these in if you can. Definitely make sure you have share time built into your writing. When we talked about writing workshop, I said it's the last 5 minutes of writing workshop should be share time. Remember that the reason that authors write is to share their story. So make sure that your authors are receiving the opportunity to share on a very regular basis, okay? This makes writing have a point, okay? So here are just a few ways to make sure that they're getting share time. First of all, I believe strongly in daily share time. I used to do a system where I had an author chair and one student would read their whole story to the class, and you get one student in a day, and I didn't like that system because the rest of my class was bored. It wasn't their story, so they weren't nearly as engaged, and they were only getting to share once a month, once every other month, so it wasn't very exciting, okay? I switched to daily share time, and I love it. They're not sharing with the whole class all that often, but they're sharing with their shoulder partner. All of my share time activities are written right into my lesson plans and my writing units, but they go along with what they were doing, what we learned in the mini lesson, what they were doing in independent writing time. So for example, if our mini lesson was about adding an interesting lead to their writing, then they went back during their independent writing time. They wrote up maybe 4 different leads, chose the best one, and added it to their draft. Now, for their share time, they're going to go ahead and turn to their partner and share the lead that they chose. And then they will listen to their partner's lead. It's quick because they're only sharing with one person, and everyone is getting the opportunity to share. As you're walking around listening, you may hear some remarkable leads and ask a student or two to share with the class from time to time. But for the most part, you're letting everyone have the opportunity to share every time you teach writing workshop. It's exciting. They also know that they're going to have to share, which encourages them to make sure they stay on task during their independent writing time. Another opportunity for regular share time is through the writing conferences. If you watched the video that I did about writing conferences, you know that every student is getting an opportunity to meet in a writing conference group once per week. They should be sharing during those conference groups. They're sharing something very specific we talked about, but they're still getting to share with you and a small group of their peers. And that's exciting too. Other ways we can share are ways that we're more familiar with, our publishing of our writing. Students can publish on fancy paper, paper with clip art, or paper that allows them to draw illustrations. Sometimes Target has little fancy books that they sell in their dollar spot. However you think it might be fun for your students to rewrite their final draft, okay? That can be a fun opportunity for them to share their writing, because then you can take those pieces and hang them on a bulletin board or put them in a classroom library or in a classroom binder that goes in the library so students can read each other's work during their independent reading time. If you have technology available to you, I suggest from time to time having your students type those final drafts. You can still put them on bulletin boards or in a class binder, but it's really fun for students to see their work typed. It looks professional. It looks like they really published it. I can't do this every single time we complete a masterpiece because I don't have that much technology available to me, but I certainly make a point of letting them publish using technology from time to time. Another fun way to publish something is through a recording. This will work if you have some technology in your classroom that students can use, either iMovie or Seesaw apps, some of the other apps that are available nowadays, to record themselves reading their own writing. Then they have a little movie or an audio recording, and students tend to think that's really fun, but they're still sharing their work, and that's important. One of my favorite ways to allow students to share their work is through an author celebration. I like to do these at the end of our unit, so not every masterpiece, but at the end of the personal narrative unit or the end of the informational unit, have an author celebration. It's a party to celebrate your writers, but it's a party where they're going to be sharing their writing. My students, after they had the first celebration, loved it so much, they were so excited to complete each writing unit. They worked really hard on that masterpiece that they knew they'd be sharing at their author celebration. And I would keep it a little secret as long as I could what the celebration was. And it just built up all kinds of excitement in my classroom. So I have several ideas for fun author celebrations that you might try with your students. And I'm sure once you get thinking about it, you could think of dozens more. So let me get started sharing some of my favorites. How about story time? Okay, I am a bookworm, and my favorite place to read is all cuddled up in bed with my comfy pajamas. We can't do that at school, but we can all come in our pajamas, bring a blanket or a stuffed animal, lay out on the floor together, and have a story time. Have students go around the room sharing their stories while everyone else is cuddled up with stuffed animals and listening. If you don't want to go through your whole class, if you have a bigger class, maybe they're sharing with a small group. Maybe you've kind of put them into groups and they're all laying around the pajamas all sharing together. It's really fun, having sort of like a classroom slumber party. All right? And it's so easy to put together. Just move the desks out of the way and ask them to come in their pajamas. That's all you have to do. Easy peasy. But unique, so your kids are excited. All right, this was a student favorite in my classroom. I called it Camp Share a Story. I moved all the desks out of the way. I brought in some sleeping bags and a couple camping lanterns and some flashlights. I actually sent an email to parents and said, don't say anything to your students, but if you could send in a flashlight for us to borrow, that'd be wonderful, and ended up with several. So students came in. There was a sign at the door that said, welcome to Camp Share a Story. They were so excited. We turned off the classroom lights, and then I used YouTube channel, just do a little search for a campfire. I played the campfire projected on my board. It made crackling sounds, and it was the light we used for the duration of the celebration. Students just laid out on the sleeping bags together. They had their stories. We shared them with one another. The person reading would use a flashlight to be able to read their story. It was like telling ghost stories around the campfire. And to make it even more fun, I shared a treat with them, which was just a baggie of Golden Grams, chocolate chips and mini marshmallows. It was our indoor, simple version of a s'more. Kids went home that day thrilled. It was actually very easy to set up using materials I already had in my garage, but it was just so different. And I got to hear so many wonderful stories from my students. It was a good time to bond with them, too. All right. This is super fun, too. And it's really easy. Red carpet authors. Okay. Think of it as like one of those Hollywood red carpet awards shows. Okay? You can ask your students, if they want to come a little dressed up. That's kind of fun. You might be able to find some boas or something fun like that at a dollar store or a party store if you wanted to. Students come in and they walk the red carpet. Grab some red fabric, real cheap at that craft store, and it can be a red carpet for years to come. You might use it for an awards ceremony at the end of the year too. But just lay it across your floor, your red carpet. Be the paparazzi. If you can borrow an actual camera instead of a cell phone, it might be really fun for the kids. But take pictures of them as they walk down the red carpet. Hand them a microphone that's not plugged in or anything, and let them stand in front of the class and read their story. Taking lots of pictures that you'll be able to share later with family. They'll love that. Everyone gets their opportunity to walk down the carpet. It's fun. It makes them feel really special. And it's just a great opportunity for us to enjoy each other's stories. Again, very simple way to transform your room, but kids will remember it for sure. Another simple one, have you ever thought about having some buddies in a younger or an older classroom. If you set this up with one of your teaching buddies, maybe you could go to a kindergarten classroom and have your students share stories with them to motivate and encourage them to see what kind of writers they might be when they're in 3rd or 4th grade. Or maybe you go to a higher grade. Maybe you go over to the 6th grade classroom, or maybe you even have a K through 8 school and you can visit the middle school. But by sharing the stories with the older students, maybe the students could help them with editing or just celebrate them, congratulate them. It can be fun, and it can be a little nerve-wracking to share your story with somebody you don't know, but it's awesome to ask our kids to stretch a little bit. And if you do this regularly, if you visit with your story buddies regularly, they can share their stories with your students. That's fun too. They start to become friends. All right. Lights, camera, and action. I kind of hit on this before, but if you have some technology available to you in your classroom, you might have students record themselves reading their story. You could use something like iMovie or other apps, but then have them record it as a video and have the class sit on the floor, pop some popcorn, and watch the videos together, like a movie day, but your students are the actors in the movie. It's simple, but it's a fun way to share, and this could be a great thing to do with the second masterpiece in a unit. I kind of talked about grades yesterday. I said that second masterpiece is right before your on-demand. You need to grade the on-demand. So that second masterpiece is tricky. This is a great way to get a grade for it by listening to the story. All these author celebrations are. You can listen to it and grade it on everything except for mechanics. And that's a great way to add a grade to your grade book without taking home a stack of papers. And your students will remember these fun celebrations. All right, I hope this gives you just a few ideas of how you could get started celebrating your writers in your classroom this year. Thank you.